are not being prosecuted or sued by people who don't want them to express themselves. In every area that NIF works, in our civil and human rights work, in our social and economic justice work, in our religious pluralism and freedom work, and in environmental defense, there are literally tens of thousands of NOAAs, and you guys are the support system, right? The support system that allows them to do their work. If there has ever been, look, I've been doing nonprofit work for a long time now, working for progressive nonprofits, and I'll tell you a secret. We always tell you, now is the moment. Now is the crossroads. But if ever there was a time when I could say that actually totally sincerely, it really would be right now. Because what we see in Israel right now is, I believe, the moment that this organization was born for. Because on the one hand, there's going to be three hands, so bear with me. On the one hand, you have the 33 years of NIF doing the work that you've heard about tonight and that I just mentioned, in really building civil society. Steve said something beautifully about not a single civic-minded, progressive organization in Israel existing that doesn't owe its support to the New Israel, or its existence in some way to the New Israel Fund. Steve was paraphrasing a quote from Haaretz, from the newspaper Haaretz, which wrote exactly that 3 years ago. That there is virtually no nonprofit organization working to build a better civil society in Israel that is not part of the New Israel Fund family. And that has been our strategy for 33 years. But things are changing in Israel right now. And on the one hand, there has been a process of what our board chair, Professor Nomi Chazan, who was the former deputy speaker of the Israeli Knesset, and whose daughter is with us tonight, Nomi has called what's happening in the halls of power in Israel right now a process of de-democratization, or a democratic recession, to put it in American terms. And we at NIF were first thrust into and then proudly assumed the role of being the leader of the pushback against this process. And we are not alone in that pushback. And there are, it is true, several dozen bad bills working their way up through the Knesset that would fundamentally change the way Israeli society looks. It would relegate Arab Israelis to permanent second-class citizenry. These laws would strip from Reform and conservative rabbis any power to preside over any religious ceremonies in Israel. They would, in its most pernicious recent form, a new bill that's about to be introduced would demand that the judiciary, when balancing Jewish and democratic, always favor Jewish, whatever that means, by whose definition. But against these really frightening legislative attempts to change the character of the country is a pushback that is now no longer restricted to the New Israel Fund. It includes people from the right and the left and the center of Israeli society. It includes American Jewish organizations that have never spoken out before, who now stand with NIF in saying that is not the vision of Israel that's enshrined in the Declaration of Independence. And it is also partly the reason responsible for the huge growth that the New Israel Fund has experienced over the last year, as thousands of people have flocked to this organization to help defend the Israel that they believe in. But on the other hand, the third hand, right, 33 years, de-democratization. On the other hand, you have what you heard Steve and Michal talking about tonight. Against this context, which is so bleak, especially if you read the papers about the geopolitics that Israel must navigate these days. Against this bleak context, something beautiful has happened. Because in the middle of Israel, the most complicated country in the most complicated region of the world, a beautiful light has burst forth. I'm trying to paraphrase biblical language, but I'm not succeeding. Right? First, it was one woman with one tent who said, you know what? This is not the Israel I thought I was brought up to live in. And if you feel like me that you just can't live while being a good citizen in this country, show your protest by joining me. And she was joined by 399 others, and then there were 400 people out there in that tent city on Rothschild's Boulevard in Tel Aviv. And then, the next weekend, 10,000 people joined her. And then, a few weeks later, it was 150,000 people. And at that moment, my favorite commentary of the entire incredible, beautiful social movement came out. In Haaretz's weekend newspaper, they had a satirical article. And the article imagined the Prime Minister and his cabinet worrying about how to take on the Israeli middle class. That's not easy. You know, Obama, the US Congress, the Palestinians, the Europeans, the peaceniks, that's easy. But the middle class? And so in the satire, the ministers say, we've got a plan. We'll blame it on the left. And they say, and the Prime Minister in the satire says, say more. And they say, we'll say it's a plot of the Mapai. Mapai was David Ben-Gurion's party. It's been gone for 60-some-odd years. We'll say it's because of something Rabin did. We'll say the New Israel Fund is involved. And I thought, God damn yeah. Because that is the company in which we stand, right? That is the legacy that we are promoting. An Israel that reflects those founding values of the Declaration of Independence. Yes, there is a terrible tension in trying to be both a democratic state and a Jewish homeland. But that, my friends, is the tension that we have agreed to wrestle with and to support our brothers and sisters in wrestling with in Israel. A couple of weeks later, there were 300,000 people marching. And then, just a week and a half ago, it was 450,000 people marching peacefully, saying, we want a different kind of country. We want an Israel that we can believe in. So, for all of us here who have this amazing opportunity to stand with these people and to actually take part in this history, you may ask, well, what can I do, Daniel, to do my part? And I will say to you, there are two things that you can do. One, you can buy tickets to this event. And I'm serious. And the second thing you can do is you can join the benefit committee, because that's really where they'll put you to work, networking with your friends, and helping make sure that the event 7 weeks from today with Ali Shalvi and the 5 activists is as impressive in its big venue as we are in the Zavar's beautiful home. But even more to the point, you can join New Israel Fund, right? One of the things that we were able to do is send your support to Israel. Over 4,000 of you signed a petition standing with the social protesters. We printed it, we published it in the International Herald Tribune and in Haaretz. It was a lead story in Israel that American Jews and their friends were standing with these Israelis. The other thing that we did was send tens of thousands of dollars into grants to help organizations that were helping people in the periphery. Ethiopian Jews, former Soviet immigrants, Arab Israelis, Jews of color also joined the protest. You can, through your support and activism with NIF, be part of that history happening right now. So thank you so much for being with us tonight. And for those of you who have been with us, it's great to see you. And for those of you who are here for the first time, I can't wait to see you in 7 weeks when I'll be back for the event. Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much to Daniel. Thank you very much to our co-chairs and for everyone who's helped us plan this evening. My name is Ben Marine. I'm the Director of New Generations. I'm in charge of bringing this community to you with the help of our steering committee. I wanted to mention just that we appreciate so much the fact that you've come. We're looking forward to a great, great benefit. And beyond the benefit itself, there's a number of ways that you can remain involved with us all year long. We do things like we have a legal community of legal professionals who, with Israeli experts from overseas, I guess you would call them, our grantees who come to tell us about issues, and we learn in depth the legal problems that Israel is facing today from civil rights lawyers overseas. I feel it's important to mention that Carol Zabar, our host, is the founder of the Other Israel Film Festival, which happens after the benefit this year, and it's 7 days of films about the Israel beyond the headlines. It's films about minority groups, films about social justice, films about, in fact, many of the grantees that we work with. And so we're a proud partner of that every year, and we're very thankful that Carol started it in the first place, and we're proud to continue our involvement with her all the time.
Ben, there's one more thing I want to say.
He's got another thing he wants to say. Surprise!
It's the fourth hand. Right. No, I usually don't do this. There's one thing I wanted to add. And that is that sometimes we think of the Other Israel Film Festival and the Israel Film Festival. And we think of the Jewish community establishment and the progressive Jewish community establishment. And I believe that we are all a living bridge between those two things. And we are actually a reflection of the fact that most American Jews really embrace the vision for Israel and for Jewish community that we have. And there's no better evidence of this than in the person of our incoming board chair, Rabbi Brian Lurie, who is here with us tonight, sitting next to Carol over there on the couch. Brian Lurie, who is not quite a new generations person, but is
But all four of my kids are.
But all four of his kids are. But Brian Lurie was the head of the Federation in San Francisco. I had that job for 15 minutes. He had it for a quarter of a century. He then became the head of the United Jewish Appeal, when it was the United Jewish Appeal, back in the 90s. He hobnobbed with prime ministers. He was instrumental in helping bring Russian Jews out of the former Soviet Union into Israel. He has fought all of his life for a secure Israel. He is the person most responsible for bringing the plight of Arab Israelis onto the radar screen of the American Jewish community. And when I went to him to ask him to join us and join our board, he said to me that he would do it because for all the work that he had done for so many years in a career devoted to building a stronger Israel and a better Jewish community, there was no organization more important to the future of the State of Israel than the New Israel Fund. So Brian, thank you and welcome to our community.
This will be a first. Amen.
And with that, thank you very much. We'll be here until 10. Please drink, schmooze, network, discuss. Can I have any of the members of the steering committee, the core committee, and any members of the benefit committee who have already agreed to sign on, please raise your hands. Please, if you have questions about the benefit, ask these folks. Have a great time.